by Design. Thanks for joining me here today. I have a wonderful little project to share with you. This is by request. So many of you had asked me to make a tutorial for these little box folios. So I put another one together. It's not exactly the same as I did for the one with the Stamperia Make-A-Wish, but it's very, very similar. It's 4 3/4 by 5 1-inch spines. And I've used this time Stamperia's Winter Botanic collection, which I love because it carries right over from Christmas into winter. You can use this right up until springtime. And all I have is the cover because I pretty much decimated it. And I also used from Renee Bouquets, which is one of my favorite Etsy shops, some of her beautiful board. That's this gorgeous, gorgeous chipboard frame. And I heat embossed that with Wow vintage champagne embossing powder, which, as you can see, has these little gold flecks, very fine. So it's a really fine finish. And then just some little pearls, little birdie Renee Moonlight flowers, iridescent metallic string from Really Reasonable Ribbon, and moss shimmer satin from Really Reasonable Ribbon. So I've got this little bird image inside. I turned this into a shaker using 1/4-inch foam and some clear acrylic, and then filled it with an assortment of sequins and buttons from Buttons Galore. And I just love the way it turned out. I hope the glare from the lights is not, I'll hold it up so you can maybe get a good look at it. But isn't it pretty? I just love that little bird image. So this flips up, and we have a pocket on the top. And oh, and Merry Christmas. I did a tutorial for you. So there you go. You're welcome. So I'll show you how to make this shaped pocket. And I'm counting this as my Papercrafting 101 all about pockets, because we make a ton of different styles of pockets in this. So, and I talk a lot about pockets in the tutorial. So here's a pocket with just a little label from the cut apart and some Tim Holtz Christmas words. And then I just cut these images, scored them and folded them. This is a great trick. And then this is the Callista rectangle shadow box die that I just cut little corner pieces. And then this little paper will pop out. You can journal here and add a small photo to the back and a small photo here. So it's like a little photo booth sized photo folio, and so pretty. And I just like the way it looks. I don't think you even really have to do anything to it, but I just think the images in this collection are beautiful. So there's that. And then these just live in this beautiful pocket. And all I have left are scraps. I'm going to try to get a few cards, but then here's another fun thing. I love the challenge of taking a 12 by 12 paper and making it work in this smaller format. So here what I've done is I've created a little flip element, and I've just cut some of the smaller images from the collection, hooked them onto this larger panel. You could put a photo here and paper clip here, and then this lifts up. There's another one. This is the magnet, and then look, it flips up again. So that's really fun too. And then this flips down, and here's our center pocket. And this is a box pocket, and you'll learn how to make this in the tutorial. And then I made this sweet little 4.5-inch square gift folio, and this is a new ribbon at Really Reasonable Ribbon. This is variegated, I think it's called. Anyway, it's just stunning, and it ties the most beautiful bows. So I added one of the die cut circle elements, and then the ribbon just holds this closed. And inside I've got a whole bunch of lovely little treats. There's some Ghirardelli peppermint bark. This spoon, you know my thing for spoons by now. This one is imported from Germany, and it is, the detail on it is phenomenal. And these are vintage silver plate, surprisingly heavy. And that's in here with just another little sweet deer image from the collection. and a honey stick and a King Leo peppermint stick. And then over here is our little tea pocket with some Twinings Christmas tea and room to write your greeting. So that's the gift folio for the center. And then there is one more pocket, and this one has a sweet little crocheted snowflake ornament. And because it's a snowflake, you can leave it out all winter long. I've topped this with a Prima snowflake charm and another one of those Renee classic flowers from Little Birdie. And then I just tucked a bunch of these sweet little circular elements. You could put photos on the back of these. Folded this larger element. You could leave this like here and put 2 photos on the back, and then just a straight up 4.5 by 4.5 photo mount. So that's the project, and the tutorial is following right behind. This is my Christmas gift to you guys. You had all asked me, please, please, please. So I did, and you're welcome. And hang around, the tutorial's coming next. Okay, let's see if I can remember how to build this folio base. It's been a while, but it's pretty basic. So to start with, I had 2 8.5 by 11 sheets of cardstock, and I cut each one to measure 4 3/4 by 11. And now we're going to do my favorite trick. We're going to bring in our 1/2 inch score tape, and we're going to join these papers together to form a big long piece. So this will be 21.5 inches in length by the time we are finished. And when you're lining this up, put it down so that it's as straight as possible along this edge. And then the edge of your tape is going to act as your guideline, so that when you put this down, it ends up a nice straight piece. So now bring in your scoreboard, and we're going to be building this one with Stamperia Winter Botanic, because it's not strictly Christmas, and it's kind of nice. It's always a little depressing when Christmas is over with and you have to pack away all the pretty things. So this way you will have something pretty to look at after the holidays, and you can get this collection at the Funky Junky Boutique. So go ahead and score at 5, score at 6, and you can go ahead and score at 11. Oops, 11 is tricky because you've got that tape to work around. So let me just go ahead. I folded it. I'm going to do 5. I have a little bit better control. And then we're going to score it 6 again. So you can see how this is coming together, right? This is going to be the cover, and then this is going to fold like this. So now we're going to put this fold. We're just going to keep folding and putting in the corner and folding and putting in the corner. So 5, and I don't think we need, let me see, just stop and think a minute. This is going to be our box, middle panel. Yeah, so we don't need this extra piece here. Let me just confirm that. Right. So see, here's our little basic. So this little flap that's left on the end, just go ahead and trim that off in your paper cutter, and we can use that somewhere else in the project. Now, when you trimmed your original 8.5 by 11 pieces over, you had these lovely little extra flaps. Well, we're going to use those. One of these is going to be our box pocket in the center, and I like to put it in the middle, not on the bottom, because as you can see when you fold this, if you put it on this bottom flap, it's going to be upside down and everything falls out, and that is so annoying. So for a box pocket, you want to add double what you normally do. Like if you're going to do a 1/2 inch deep pocket, you need to add 1 inch on each side or 2 inches total. I want this to be a 3/4 inch deep pocket so I can really put a lot of goodies in it. So my width of my folio is 4 3/4 inches. And then if I do 2 3/4 inch panels on each side, that's 1.5 inches on each side for 3 inches total. So we want to come all the way over here to 7 3/4, and that's where we want to cut that. So on the bottom, you're going to score, and if it's not quite even, here's what I do. I just take it up to where it's even, and I start there. So 3/4 inch, and 1, 2, 3/4 inch. And then on this side, 1, 2, 3/4 inch, and 1, 2, 3/4 inch. And then on this side, 1, 2, 3/4 inch, and 1, 2, 3/4 inch. So I hope you can see those score lines. I'm going to go ahead and burnish on the lines for a couple of reasons. One, it helps me see where to do the next step. And then I can also check the depth of my pocket to make sure I'm happy with it. So I'm just folding on all those scored lines. You will have 6 scored lines total. Now I'm going to come in with my scissors. And this outermost, there's 4 squares in each corner. Do you see that? So we're going to cut these 2 outside squares away completely. They are just gone. Just like that. Then we're going to take our scissor and we're going to cut from the bottom edge up to the top score line. Over here we're going to do the same thing. These 2 outside squares are going to disappear. We're just going to cut them away. And then this one, we're going to cut from the edge to the first score line. So this is what we have now. At this point, if you want to create a thumb hole, you can, of course, use a paper punch, or this is the largest small standard circles die from Spellbinders. So to place this, well, first, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. First, you have to cover this pocket. So we're going to trim this to fit, and I want just a tiny sliver of the cream to show. I'm just going to take my pencil. This is just easier for me than measuring with a ruler. But if you're a super ace measuring person, use your ruler. So see, this is going to fit right in there, nice as you please. And before I glue that down, I'm just going to brush it with a little gathered twigs distress ink to cover up that white core and give it a finished look. And then we're going to come in just add a thin bead of adhesive and decide which way it looks like, right side up or upside down. I'm not sure. I think that looks slightly better. It's really just an all-over pattern, so it doesn't really matter. So now that this is glued down, now I can come in with my circle die, and I'm going to center it. I usually just eyeball this, but if you want to break out the old ruler and measure to the micrometer, you're welcome to do so. I'm just going to run this through my die cutting machine. So you can see, there it is. And I save these little guys. They make great turn tabs. Fun little design feature. And then I just usually check to make sure that this is got adhesive back behind it, and this does. Come back in, re-ink. And there's your pretty shaped pocket. Isn't that easy? And then, just as a finishing touch, trim a little triangle off this outer edge, and then it won't show through when you fold your pocket down. So for this middle panel, this is 4 3/4 by 5. So I cut this just 1/8 of an inch. I don't like 1/4 inch. I like 1/8 inch borders, but if you want, I mean, that's an individual preference. There's not really any right or wrong. So I'm just going to ink up these edges. I just picked a interesting kind of collage-y looking background. This is just the pocket. And we're going to ink this, add some glue. And I must be feeling super confident because normally I double check to make sure that I cut it correctly, because, you know, sometimes, but that looks really good. So there's our pocket panel. Now we're going to bring in our pocket, and this is really easy. This is not hard, people. You can do this. So you've got these 2 little squares here. Place some adhesive, flip it over, and glue it down to the base of that pocket. And this just adds extra stability. There's probably a bunch of different ways to do this. This is just the way that I like to do it, and I find that it works really well for me. I've done dozens of these now. So you see how it just kind of wants to tuck right in there? And then just hold it a second. And then bring your bottom flap up. And these side flaps, you're just going to place a little adhesive here and here. And make sure everything is straight. That's the only really tricky part. Hot glue holds it in place immediately. But if you don't have it straight, then you got a crooked pocket. So I like to use my Dries Clear. It's just what works for me. And see, that's going to fit so pretty right there. Now, why did I do 3/4 of an inch instead of an inch? Okay, I did 3/4 of an inch because it allows the folio to close neatly. Sometimes if you do an inch spine and an inch pocket, it doesn't close as well. But look, this is going to close beautifully. And there you go. Isn't that neat? And you can cut little pieces to go on the side here if you want to. I usually do. Sometimes I actually measure this piece wide enough to wrap all the way around. I didn't think to do that this time, but there's the base of that. So let me go ahead, work on what I'm going to do on the cover, etc., and I'll be back to show you. Don't go away. Okay, before we go any farther, I need to show you how to place the magnets for this. And I will tell you, I came in and I took about 1/4 of an inch off this bottom panel, so it's now 4 3/4 by 4 3/4, because it just makes the box close. It gives you that little bit of space. As you can see, I wrapped the sides, I covered the back. And what I did was I just cut these the height with an extra inch, wrapped it around, and that actually adds strength to the pocket. One of you asked me to show you, these are basic gray magnetic discs. These are typically what I use. These are the large ones. I'm using large here because I want it to really hold, but they also make a smaller one that I use just for regular flaps and things like that. So there you go. There's your answer. That's what that is. Now, you want to figure out your placement for this. And when you look at the magnets, there's a plus and a negative. So just take one or the other. It really doesn't matter. Peel off the adhesive backing. And I'm just going to take a second and figure where I want this to go. And I want it to go right here. That's a good spot for it to catch. And I'm going to take a little piece of score tape And that just ensures that if that adhesive on the back ages, the magnet will still work. So that was a negative, pop out a positive, and see, it wants to go to the magnet. So once again, peel off your adhesive. Sometimes that's the hardest part. Some of them come off real easy, others give me fits. This one's giving me fits. All right. So stand this up because you want this to be square, and come over your top so that it is, again, square and even on the sides, and then press in place. And I can see I'm a little cattywampus here, so I want to just do that again. I'm going to peel this off carefully, carefully. That was not perfect, but all right. I want this to be square and even. That looks better. Okay, yes. Yes, I'm happy with that. Okay. So now lift this and put a little piece of your score tape over that, and that will just hold them in place. And you do that before you add your patterned papers. So for the front cover, I just cut a panel of this all over design, inked the edges, and again, our dimensions are 4 3/4 by 5. So I just went slightly under that, like maybe a 1/16 of an inch, because I didn't really want a lot of white border. I probably would have made this with craft had I not been doing a tutorial, but white shows up so much better than craft. So just gonna line this up so that it's nice and straight. And there's the base for our cover. Not hard. Now we come in here. And this page, you have to be careful. If you put anything too heavy over that magnet, it's not going to hold. So I cut just a straight up piece, 4 3/4 by almost 4 3/4 by almost 5 again. And I like this pine tree image. I'm going to peel off my score tape. I'm going to line this up and adhere it in place. So then this is a little extra piece that I had, and this is an easy way to make a pocket. Now the easiest way, and since we're doing Pockets 101, would be just to add a thin bead of adhesive around the 2 sides and the bottom, and then put that down there. But the thing is, you can't get much in there if you do that. So I like to create these little gussets. That's what I call them. And this is just a 1 inch wide piece of paper that is slightly shorter than the height of my pocket. So that's the formula. I fold them in half, and then you're going to put the folded edge against the outside edge of your pocket and just press that down. And now you can actually, you know, get some things in that pocket, little tags, for instance. It can't be anything too tall. I wouldn't try to do photo mounts or anything like that because, again, I think it would interfere with those magnets. But little tags or little circular, there's so many neat cut apart pieces in these Stamperia collections that I'm sure you can find something that you love. So I'm gonna just trim off this excess like that. Very technical. Fold these in, fold this up, and that's a super easy way to make a gusseted pocket. And then just place your adhesive along the edges. And glue it down. And see, that looks really neat. And you can see the tree peeking out from the back. So that's that. There's our box pocket. We already did that. This is that front flap, the first flap page. And I did a piece. And again, you can't do a lot on this. You have to keep this, if you build it up too much, that magnets, they're strong, but they're, you know, be kind. Don't expect them to do more than what they can do. So this is that short piece, not quite 4 3/4 by not quite 4 3/4. And that is that flap. And if you had wanted to, and if I thought about it, I could have put a little turn doolally there, but it'll be fine. And then this, and this is what I want to show you. So this is a 4 3/4 by 12-inch piece of the beautiful pattern paper with these gorgeous deer. So I scored it just below, just a hair below 4 3/4 and folded. Then I scored again and folded up. Now this becomes a really fun interactive page. We're going to adhere this back panel. Like so. Line everything up. So now we have a pocket. Isn't that fun? And we're just going to add our gussets. Quick and easy pockets. It looks like I cut these maybe just a skosh too long. Yeah, that one is. This is not the end of the world. We just go in and trim. And place your adhesive. Fold. And look what you have. Isn't that cool? So you've got a pocket flap. Isn't that neat? I love that. So now I'm going to decorate this. You can decorate yours. Add your spines, top and bottom. Just use your scraps. But that's how you do it, people. Isn't that fun? And not hard. Really not hard. And these make fabulous gifts. They just make fabulous gifts. And they stand up on their own for display, which is really fun. So that's it for me. Kathy by Design, Kathy Clement. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up. I would love to have you subscribe to my channel and join me for the journey. I'm always sharing new ideas and fun things here, and you can find me on my website at kathybydesign.com. I also write regular blog posts with lots of tips and tricks for paper crafting. So y'all go have a good day, and I am going to get my craft on. Bye.